Seriously, we need to release the Epstein list.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there.
So what happened to the Epstein client list that the Attorney General said she had on her desk?
Yes, she was saying the entirety of all of the paperwork, all of the paper in relation to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes.
Starting a third party.
I think it's ridiculous to start a third party. We can have fun with it, but I think it's ridiculous. It really seems to have been developed for two parties. Third parties have never worked. It's always been a two-party system. And I think starting a third party just adds to confusion.
You're looking at these documents going, these aren't all the Epstein files. You know, there were flight logs, there were names and victims' names. And we're going, where's the rest of the stuff? And that's what the FBI had turned over to us.
Elon Musk didn't just stir the pot this time. He threw the whole kitchen into the political fire. It began with a simmering frustration that turned volcanic when Donald Trump's massive spending package, the so-called One Big Beautiful Bill, sailed through Congress. Elon had warned against it, blasted it repeatedly, and then watched as it passed anyway. And that was the breaking point. On X, he declared, by a factor of 2 to 1, you want a new political party and you shall have it. When it comes to bankrupting our country with waste and graft, we live in a one-party system, not a democracy. Today, the America Party is formed to give you back your freedom. This wasn't a man hinting or musing, this was a man launching. Musk's fury over the bill was no secret. Responding to questions about why he flipped on Trump, he didn't mince words. Increasing the deficit from an already insane $2 trillion under Biden to $2.5 trillion, this will bankrupt the country. The richest man in the world had reached his limit, and he decided that if no one else would do something, he would. A new political party. A direct challenge not just to Trump, but to the entire system. Trump's counterattack came swiftly. On True Social, he fumed, I am saddened to watch Elon Musk go completely off the rails, essentially becoming a train wreck over the past 5 weeks. He even wants to start a third political party, despite the fact that they have never succeeded in the United States. His message was clear. Elon wasn't just misguided, he was dangerous to the cause. And Trump, always one to see a threat, wasn't about to let it slide. At rallies, he doubled down, calling Musk's idea ridiculous. I think it's ridiculous to start a third party. We have a tremendous success with the Republican Party. Third parties have never worked. The personal insults were one thing, but Trump didn't stop there. Reports surfaced that he was considering pulling federal subsidies for Tesla, reconsidering NASA and defense contracts with SpaceX, and possibly more. When asked about the idea of Musk's citizenship, Trump joked, but not entirely as a joke, that maybe it was time to look into it. The message to Musk was unmistakable. Get back in line or face consequences. Musk didn't blink. The America Party became official, his posts amplified, and he began hinting at which politicians he'd target. His focus? Republicans who'd gone along with what he called Trump's fiscal betrayal. And just as this political firestorm erupted, another headline crossed the wires. The DOJ and FBI announced the Epstein case was closed. The memo was stark. No client list, no foul play. Suicide confirmed by surveillance video. No more prosecutions beyond Ghislaine Maxwell. After years of speculation, leaks, promises, and teases, the door slammed shut. What made the timing suspicious wasn't just that it happened, but that it happened now, right as Trump and Musk's war began. Musk didn't accuse, he didn't need to. The implication hung in the air like smoke after a bomb blast. The public hadn't forgotten the buildup. Months earlier, former AG Pam Bondi had told Fox News, "It's sitting on my desk right now to review." That has been a directive by President Trump. Flight logs, names, videos, the works. Bondi promised more. I think tomorrow you're going to see some Epstein information being released by my office. But tomorrow came and went, and no flood of files appeared. Now the DOJ memo was out, and it felt like a rug pulled from under the public's feet.
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. I'm reviewing JFK files, MLK files. That's all in the process of being reviewed.
Adding to the intrigue was Caroline Leavitt's confirmation at a White House briefing. Asked if Epstein files were on her desk, she didn't dodge. She said yes, binders of videos and documents were still being reviewed, still being scrubbed through. The files existed, but the DOJ had just declared case closed. For anyone looking at the scene, it felt like a curtain dropped mid-show. Elon, sensing the moment, began amplifying calls for transparency. On X, he urged officials to release what they had, tagging offices, reposting statements, letting his millions of followers connect the dots themselves. The binders were real, the files were there, but the doors were being shut in real time. And all while his political rebellion was making headlines.
The Trump administration is committed to truth into transparency.
DOJ and FBI have now concluded there was no Jeffrey Epstein client list.
This administration has done more to lock up bad guys than certainly the previous administration. They committed to an exhaustive investigation. That's what they did, and they provided the results of that. That's transparency.
The consequences were immediate. Tesla's stock took a hit, falling over 3% as investors fretted that Musk's political crusade would distract from his corporate duties. Analysts warned that the board might need to step in. Musk was no longer just a tech visionary, he was now a political firebrand, and Wall Street didn't like the uncertainty. Trump's allies circled. Reports emerged of serious talks about cutting off Tesla's subsidies, SpaceX's contracts, and other lifelines that depended on federal goodwill. Bannon and other Trump loyalists suggested it might be time to make an example of Musk. Meanwhile, conservative media started turning up the heat on the Epstein closure. After Bondi's promises and Caroline's binders, the idea that there was nothing to see didn't sit well. Questions poured in. Why the timing? Why the silence? Why declare an end just as a political storm begins? Even commentators who once defended Trump now asked if the system was protecting itself.
Charming. He is able to convince people, so he tells everybody what they want to hear. His ability to sell. He's not a horrible human being. He does nasty things to his best friends' wives.
The Epstein case was no longer about the past. It was about the power struggles of the present. Democrats smelled blood. Some in Congress began demanding hearings. They wanted to know if the DOJ had buried names to protect Trump or his allies. For Musk supporters, it felt like vindication. The system was cracked open, and the cracks were showing. Musk's America Party began to take shape beyond slogans. He committed to backing candidates, starting with Thomas Massie. Polls he ran on X showed that Americans were hungry for a new option. 65% of respondents said they'd support a third party. The media framed it as a civil war within the GOP. Some compared it to past political realignments, others called it spectacle. But no one doubted the stakes. If Musk succeeded, he could fracture the conservative base. If Trump succeeded in crushing him, it would send a message to any would-be billionaire challenger.
The FBI handed over a couple hundred pages of documents. So we got them all by, hopefully all of them, Friday at 8 a.m., thousands of pages of documents.
The DOJ memo didn't kill the Epstein story, it inflamed it. Now, with Caroline's confirmation that files existed, the public wanted more. The questions weren't going away. The timing had made sure of that, and Elon was there, pushing, needling, refusing to let the topic die. His party wasn't just about fiscal responsibility anymore, it was about truth, about transparency, about breaking the old order. Elon wasn't done. In interviews, in posts, in speeches, he kept the pressure on. He called the DOJ's Epstein investigation a cover-up for the powerful, slammed Trump for talking drain the swamp while swimming in it, and urged Americans to reject the politics of personality cults. He didn't just criticize, he offered a vision, flawed or not. A new party, new candidates, a break from the old order. And Trump, he kept punching. At rallies, on Truth Social, in interviews. He called Musk ungrateful, a leech, a con man. He accused him of trying to buy the White House, of undermining American values. But the more he ranted, the more he seemed rattled. And Musk? He just kept posting, kept building, kept pushing the narrative that he was the real disruptor, the real threat to the system. Trump's next move was clear. He turned up the pressure. At rallies on Truth Social, he continued to call Musk ungrateful, dangerous, a fraud. He warned of investigations, revoking contracts, stripping subsidies. His allies hinted at legal moves. The battle lines were drawn deeper. Neither man was backing down. The media covered it like a political prize fight. Wall Street watched with growing unease. Tesla shares bounced, but the risk was clear. If Musk stayed in the political arena, the consequences could hit more than just his reputation. Contracts could evaporate, investors could lose faith, the future of his companies could be tied to the outcome of this feud. And yet Musk pressed on. His post called for the release of all Epstein files, for real investigations, for voters to demand answers. His America Party planned its next moves. His critics accused him of distraction. His supporters called him brave. What happens next is unwritten. But one thing is certain, Elon Musk did what few expected. He forced the system to react. And now, with files on Caroline's desk, with a party in motion, with Trump locked in a fight for dominance, the stage is set for the next chapter. The question is no longer whether Elon Musk will change politics. The question is how much, and who will be left standing when the dust settles. Where does it go from here? That's the question gripping the country. Will Musk's America Party fracture the right, handing victories to Democrats? Will Trump succeed in crushing his upstart rival, cutting off his funding, his contracts, his influence? Or will this feud reshape American politics in ways we can't yet see? What's certain is that the fight is far from over. The drama is still building, and the fallout from the Epstein case, the bill, the feud, it's only just begun. Because in the end, this isn't just about two men and their egos. It's about who controls the narrative, who holds the power, and whether truth stands a chance in a system built to bury it. And right now, Elon Musk is making damn sure that system has to work harder than ever to keep its secrets.